Hey, you guys, and welcome to American Culture. So, I'm making this video about my official end to employment. Now, you guys, I've been a nurse for a long time, since 2010, but I've been in the healthcare field since 2005. I know. I don't look it, but I have. I'm a relatively seasoned nurse, but something happened in 2021 with COVID. They made us feel like we were absolute garbage. And this was the time when I was getting paid the most amount of money I had ever made, and I still felt like crap. Honestly, at the end of 2021, when my hospital decided that if you don't want to get the COVID shot, you got to get out, it was kind of like a slap in the face. And I went through a major identity crisis. Up until that point, it was like everything that I was tied to this career. It was going to get me the house, it was going to, it was making me stable and whatnot. And then suddenly it wasn't there. Long story short, I didn't completely switch careers then. I still stayed a nurse, but I went into a whole different area that I hadn't really done before, which was home health. Like I said, I'm relatively seasoned. I had done the hospitals, I had done the supervisory roles, I had done the charge nurse, I had done all the things, so I could be in somebody's house and really know what was going on. My first couple of cases were crazy, but then I settled in on this one kid, and I stayed there for a few years until I couldn't. Just got to the point to where the environment was a little bit more disrespectful than even I could tolerate, so I left. And that was in July of last year. And again, it sent me through like another identity crisis type of thing, because by this point I had really been doing the whole Jesus take the wheel, help me awaken myself, and I really thought that God was going to shift me into something different miraculously. Then I didn't understand that what was happening was that he was sending me into a whirlwind of lessons, which is something that happens before you actually close out a chapter. You enter into this odd little observation mode where you're just paying attention to everything that you've been through and so forth, and learning from it. And the first house that I went to after the one that I had been at for 3 years was very traumatized. Like, that was the base of it. And you can't really find peace in an environment that's so traumatizing. The second house, my God, this lady was insecure. Literally thought every single human being that was coming in there was after her man. And it is impossible to see the loving, the caring, the kind things when you're living that level of insecurity. In that house that I had left, it was just somebody who didn't believe in their own self-worth. And at first, having to leave all these dynamics was frustrating, until in January I decided I don't want to do this anymore. It's not that I need to go find another part of the nursing world career. It's not that I need to go find another house. I don't want to work in this. And so in January I decided to let go and just kind of let things fall off. I was still again at these houses, kind of working in and out at this point. The real true falling away didn't take place until, I want to say, about and March and April. You see, like I said, I was still working, but not as much. I had gone from the woman who thought that I needed to work 12-hour shifts to 5 a week so that I could make money and make overtime, to I don't really want to go in at all. And an interesting took place. You see, like I said, I thought that I needed to have all that money to flow, but suddenly that money wasn't there and I was doing just fine. In fact, I was at peace now. And it was a piece I couldn't let go of, to go back to the struggle. So going back to work 3-4 days a week just wasn't possible. And I was only working a little bit here and there. Now, granted, I still had purpose in these houses and stuff like that, but an interesting thing started to take place. When I decided that this was no longer the structure that was going to support me, then I'd stop showing up as the person who needed this to be the structure to support me. I realized in all of these houses, they needed me to be some type of performer, to do what they say, when they said it, how they wanted it to be. And everything that I am completely got diminished from the moment that I walked into the door. No, I had knowledge, I had expertise. I could add none of that in there. It was always some type of threat to their hierarchy or their psyche. And eventually 2 of those houses said, Alicia, don't come back. Now, granted, again, I said in the beginning, I took that kind of personal, like, what? I'm a great lady. But then I realized, no, this is just a reflection of a woman that I no longer am. Like I said, that first house that I took, traumatized. And I'm not sitting here in judgment of that. I get it. But when you're at that much chaos and crazy, there's no such thing as peace. In fact, peace will come in and you will try to find some way to shake it up. It's because you only feel familiar with the shakiness. People who are traumatized, they create trauma. And they have a hard time maintaining integrity, peace, and all that other stuff. The next house, like I said, filled with insecurities. I'm not that. To sit here and think that I'd be the type of woman that wanted this? Girl, please. Don't insult me like that. And that's when I realized the people who they're insecure, nah, they don't see love. They don't see kindness. They don't respect that. They don't have any of the characteristics that come along with it. They're diminishing, they're insulting, and again, it destabilizes your structure. And last but not least, my last lesson, the last house that I actually left, was the one where there was just no concept of self-worth. Now, here's the thing. This particular person, I wanted to pour into them. My goodness, they are talented. They can do it. They can make it. But without any understanding of what they're worth, they don't produce anything worthy of investing in. And people who don't recognize they're worthy of an investment, they run around seeking donation, saying, hey, you should give me your love. You should give me your kindness. You should give me your respect. You should give me your presence whenever I ask for it. And for what in return? Nothing. And the second you don't show up to give them what they want, you're the bad guy. You see, like I said, I realize that each one of these houses, they're not bad people doing bad things to me, and I don't have to hate them. But I do have to recognize that this is a foundational version of myself that I'm leaving behind. In the first place, I'm leaving trauma behind, and I'm replacing it with peace. In the second house, I'm leaving those insecurities behind that had me constantly destabilizing my structure of love, pushing away the goodness, and wondering why I was left with the bad. And then the last one, my self-worth issue. No, I'm an investment, baby. I'm not burying my talents. I'm taking them out there. I'm multiplying them. You give to me, I will grow and develop that into something that's great for all of us. What essentially happened was that the spirit that the world had given me suddenly wasn't there anymore. And I had the Holy Spirit. It's all through the Bible. You know, when the Holy Spirit comes to dwell with people, you get these fruits of it, which is love, peace, and joy. And that's what happened. When I was finally able to embody love, trauma couldn't live here anymore, which means that I don't go and share your perspective and live there and call that life for me. I'm not enduring and trying to suffer through it with you. That's not happening. Same thing with the insecurities. Like I said, if trauma is equal to peace, then me getting through my insecurities meant I was finally able to love and love freely and unconditionally. I didn't have to regulate and control and do all this other stuff so that I could feel safe and secure. And lastly, but not least, when I finally understood self-worth, I could find joy. And what comes along with joy, passion, creativity, life. I could freely live knowing that I am a part of a bigger system and I'm worthy of that and I'm doing great things. The life that I live is no longer the life that I've lived. I'm moving forward. And so that means that those situations, they had to fall off. So yeah, you guys, there are some of you who have definitely been called out of employment. It's not a joke. And all those little videos that you watch and stuff like that happen. Ooh, 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 ooh. It happened. I was called out years ago, but it didn't really click to me that this was about developing into the character that didn't need employment, the character that didn't participate in the consumer-based society like that, recognizing that so many of these dynamics, in order to interact with them, required you to pay with your sympathy and empathy. And what's genuinely happening is that you don't sympathize with the things that created a lack of self-worth. You don't sympathize or empathize with the things that make you insecure, and you don't sympathize and empathize with the things that people do to continually traumatize themselves. You don't. And so you can't continuously go into their situation and make a life there. You're saying, hey, you became the light and the beacon to say that there's another way to go about this. You don't have to suffer like that. And you've been that way for a while, but you just didn't know how to live that in that environment because, like I said, you can't. If you look at the person who is a lack of self, worth, no, they need your sympathy and they need your empathy. That's what they use to encourage and support themselves for a little bit of time. When you run out of that, it's just nothing but what they perceive to be judgment. You're just standing there showing them a truth, it's one that they don't want to see. So yeah, I learned that at the end of the whole getting called out of work thing, there's this whole little life review where you get to observe the key foundational characteristics that kept you employed and recognize how far you've come to undo that. And there is this click that I don't function like that anymore, that has to take place in your own mind in order for you to be able to move forward. You kind of have to make yourself conscious of the fact that I just don't function like that anymore. And so God knows that I am of no real great value to him in that space. They're not capable of recognizing the direction or where I lead to. And so there's no growing there, there's no building there. And in order for me to continue to live purposely, I have to move to an environment that supports that. So the next phase after this little bit of nothingness, and it is nothingness, is people start coming, opportunities start coming in. It is rapid. Ooh, it's just as quick as the people out there tell you that. I know you've been watching all these videos that say you don't have to work another day in your life. It's going to happen quickly. And it is. When you finally come to the realization that the cornerstone of my life now is I am aware, I am at peace, I love, and I experience joy. And that I can actually start building a new experience for. Before it was, I was unconscious, I am traumatized, I am insecure, and I feel unworthy. Ding, ding, ding. Life supported that. So now that the foundation is laid on especially a conscious level, you guys, it is time to walk out the whole I'm not going to go back to that job. Many of you, you've lost jobs, you've left jobs, and you haven't gone back out there to find anything else. You've gone through the feeling of lack that brings. My gosh, no money's going on. And you just haven't reacted the same way. Hold on to that. Something big is coming, because it is, and it's coming fast. It's not a slow thing. It's not a trickle. It's almost as if like you turned the page onto a whole different and there was like, whoa, wait a minute, there's a whole different experience here. But yeah, you had to put it in your consciousness first, that life that is built off of awareness, love, peace, and joy is available to me. I have seen the way that I used to live. I cannot live like that anymore. I tried. And so when you have to give yourself permission by way of acknowledgement that it is time to move on, and it is, like I say, you don't have to work another day in your life. Boop. And it is happening rather fast. Congratulations. Have a blessed day, you guys.